Think about the last time you felt a chill in the air. Now imagine that chill decimating entire fields of crops. Recent weather patterns have brought a cold snap that's more than a minor inconvenience. It's a veritable disaster for agriculture. These freezing temperatures have been devastating for crops that simply can't withstand the cold. We're talking about a significant array of produce, from fruits like oranges and strawberries to vegetables like lettuce and broccoli. This isn't a problem confined to a single region. It's a global phenomenon that's causing widespread damage and loss. When we experience a crop loss of this magnitude, it's not just the farmers who feel the pinch. The ripple effect of these losses travels far and wide, ultimately leading to a decrease in the availability of essential foods. So what does this mean for your pantry? Well, it's simple economics. When supply goes down and demand remains constant, prices tend to rise. This means that the cost of the food items we rely on, especially those we like to keep stocked in our prepper pantries, is likely to increase. Picture this. You're at your local grocery store, and you reach for a bag of rice, a staple in many a prepper's pantry, but instead of the usual price, you find it's gone up by 20%. Or you're looking for canned vegetables, only to discover that they're in short supply. These are the real-world implications of severe cold weather on our food supply. But it's not just about the here and now. These weather events also have long-term implications. When a crop is wiped out by cold weather, it takes time to recover. This means that the effects of a single cold snap can linger for months or even years, leading to sustained increases in food prices. So, as we see, the frost isn't just nipping at our noses, it's taking a bite out of our food supply. And as these cold weather events become more frequent and severe, their impact on our food availability and prices is a reality we must prepare for. Fertilizer, it's the lifeblood of our crops. But what happens when it becomes too expensive for our farmers? Let's take a closer look. Fertilizer prices have seen an exponential surge, more than doubling in some instances. This is a major concern as farmers, who form the backbone of our food production, are grappling with these sky-high costs. Now you might be wondering why this matters to you. Well, the cost of fertilizer directly impacts the ability of farmers to maintain, let alone increase, their crop yields. And as we know, crop yields are a key factor in determining the availability and cost of the food that ends up on our tables. So why are fertilizer prices soaring? There's no single answer. It's a complex issue influenced by factors such as global demand, production costs, and even geopolitical tensions. These factors combined have resulted in an unprecedented rise in fertilizer costs, creating a domino effect that's felt throughout the food supply chain. The end result? Higher costs for farmers, reduced crop yields, and ultimately, increased food prices for consumers. It's a cycle that's not only challenging for farmers but also for us as consumers, and especially for those of us in the prepper community, who rely on a stable and affordable food supply for our preparedness efforts. So, the next time you see a farmer, thank them. They're fighting an uphill battle to keep our pantries stocked. Now, let's leave the farm and hit the high seas, where a different kind of battle is brewing. The Red Sea, a crucial maritime artery, has become a hotbed of perilous activity. Recent attacks on cargo ships have raised alarms, and for good reason. These vessels aren't just carrying random goods, they're transporting the food that fuels our world. Imagine a massive global conveyor belt, tirelessly moving food from farms to factories, and then to markets around the world. Now, imagine a wrench thrown into its gears. That's what these attacks represent. They disrupt the smooth flow of goods, causing delays, and in some cases, outright losses. In a world where we're all interconnected, these disruptions ripple across the globe. The food supply chain is no exception. When ships can't safely traverse the Red Sea, it's not just the immediate vicinity that feels the impact. It's the farmer in the Midwest waiting for his grain to reach international buyers. It's the grocery store in Europe that can't stock shelves with produce from Africa. And yes, it's the prepper in any corner of the world trying to secure their next meal. The result? A surge in food prices. When supply chains stutter, costs rise. It's a simple equation, but one with complicated, far-reaching consequences. It's a dangerous world out there on the open sea, and it's shaping what ends up on our dinner tables. In the world of economics, nothing is more fundamental than supply and demand, and right now that balance is off kilter. Let's consider the rising demand for food. As populations grow and as more people in developing nations adopt more affluent lifestyles, the demand for food naturally rises. This increased demand places a strain on our global food supply chain, a complex, interwoven network of farmers, processors, distributors, and retailers. Each link in this chain feels the pressure of rising demand, and that pressure is reflected in the prices we pay at the grocery store. Picture this. You're at the supermarket, and you notice that the price of a staple food item, let's say rice, has gone up since your last visit. This price increase isn't due to some arbitrary decision by the store manager. It's a direct result of the increased demand for rice, coupled with the challenges of maintaining a steady supply. This is where we, as preppers, feel the pinch. Our goal is to secure a steady supply of essentials for our pantries, but as demand continues to rise and prices follow suit, that task becomes increasingly challenging. The cost of filling our pantries goes up, and we are forced to make difficult decisions about what to buy, how much, and when. The strain on the food supply chain is not just a problem for today, it's a trend that's likely to continue into the foreseeable future. As demand continues to rise, the challenge of maintaining a steady supply will only become more acute. And as the strain on the food supply chain intensifies, so too will the challenge for us preppers. This is not a time for fear, but a time for action. By understanding the dynamics of demand-driven price hikes, we can make informed decisions about our prepper pantry preparations. We can prioritize, strategize, and adapt to ensure we're ready for whatever the future holds. So remember, every time demand goes up, so does the price tag on our food. Inflation, it's the silent killer of businesses, and it's got our food supply in a stranglehold. As we continue to navigate these turbulent times, it's essential to understand how inflation is impacting businesses across the board, particularly those in the food industry. Inflation, as we know, is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising. As these costs increase, businesses face a daunting challenge. They must either increase their prices or cut back on operations to maintain profitability. But it's not as simple as it sounds. Raising prices can drive away customers, while cutting back operations can limit the quantity and quality of goods available for sale. In the context of food supply, this situation is particularly grim. When businesses cut back operations, the quantity of food available for sale reduces. This reduction directly impacts the supply chain, leading to decreased availability of food products in the market. And as we've learned earlier, a decrease in supply coupled with a constant or increasing demand leads to price escalation. Moreover, the operational cutbacks often result in job losses, further increasing the economic strain on everyday people. This vicious cycle of inflation, operational cutbacks, and rising food prices can make it challenging for us to secure our basic necessities. Inflation might be invisible, but its effects on our food supply are all too real. We must stay vigilant and adapt our strategies to ensure our survival in these testing times. From ships to trucks, rail, and air, transporting our food isn't cheap, and those costs are only going up. We're living in an era of soaring transportation costs, and it's a reality we must confront. Each stage in the journey of our food, from the farm to our tables, comes with a price tag that is continually escalating. Why is this happening? There are several factors at play, from fluctuating fuel prices to increased demand for transport services and even regulatory changes. The expenses of maintaining fleets of vehicles, insurance, and labor costs all add to the final bill. These costs aren't absorbed by the transport companies or the food producers. No, these increased costs are passed on to us, the consumers. So the price we pay for our food isn't just about the cost of growing it, but also about the cost of moving it. This reality exacerbates the economic challenges faced by us all, but especially those of us who are preppers. We're always thinking about how to secure our food supply, and these rising costs make our job that much harder. But as always, understanding the problem is the first step to finding solutions. So the next time you bite into an apple, remember the journey it took to get to you. And remember the price we pay for that journey.